Clifton Cameras Week in Review. We are sitting in this sweat lodge we call our studio slash meeting room today. Andy and Ben have come to the table today more prepared than I, so I'm pretty much going to let these guys lead me through what's going on. I think on the agenda today we're going to talk about, there's a Leica firmware update, a fair use ruling that's happened in Virginia that's going to be something interesting to talk about.
Yes.
Sony have released a new behemoth of a lens, and Pentax have also got a new, they've expanded on their K lens
got a new lens
as well. Yeah. Yeah, and then Andy's going to do his usual thing, lead us out with the promos, and he's got a message for everybody who's supported us with our recent mission.
If you see any sudden movements today as well, we are joined by a fourth guest here today as well. It's hovering around. You can't see me get out. There you go.
There he is.
We're going to get him at some point during this
July.
Just a heads up about this Leica firmware update. This is more of a notification than it is something to be discussed. But it applies to the M10, the QL, the TL, even the original T, and it covers. There's a firmware update, mass firmware update for all of these camera models. So we'll leave a link in the description to that update, and you can read through exactly what it does for each model. It covers everything from user interface on the M10 to I think like focus peaking on the TL2, and everything in between. So lots of stuff has been updated there. Next on the list, all right, lead us through this thing then.
Yeah, this could take a fair while. This one. A legal battle erupted between a photographer and a film festival in Virginia, the Northern Virginia Film Festival.
Okay.
Basically, photographer Russell Brammer discovered that this festival on their site had been using a shot that he had taken in Washington DC, a long exposure shot, and they were using it on their feature page, things to do in DC. So fair enough.
Yeah.
But they didn't ask for his permission or anything like that.
No permission.
He asked them to take it down, which they did.
Nice of them.
But after that, he actually pursued suing them for 2 counts. One of which was for using the photo in the first place for copyright infringement. They shouldn't have done that. And the second one for the actual, what did I write here? It was for the actual alteration.
Yes.
Of it, so they believe that they actually cropped the image, that you didn't have any of the copyright information or the watermark or anything in there.
Cheeky.
Yeah. So
the big thing with this is the ruling that the Virginia federal court essentially passed. There was a 7-page summary, wasn't there?
Yes.
Ruling?
Yeah.
And within that, they've almost said that it's okay because the company that used this image was the defendant in the case. They won the case. They've essentially ruled you could extrapolate from that they've said that it's fair use.
Yep.
It's okay to use any image you find on the internet. Really.
Violent Hues Productions.
Violent Hues.
Yeah. That's the
intense.
Violent.
Yeah. So I'm kind of curious what's the knock-on effect of that ruling then, because there's a lot of court rulings that sort of hold up the other side of the argument as well. Aren't
I don't know if it's worth getting into what's actually considered fair use.
Okay.
In the States,
break it down for us.
Well, in the States, whether or not you use copyrighted material, there's basically 4 factors that a court adheres to.
Okay.
So, number 1, the purpose and character of the use. So, including whether it's transformative and commercial versus non-commercial.
Does that include like good faith? There's an element of this. Continue.
Yes. Number 2, the nature of the copyrighted work.
Okay.
3, how much of the work is used.
Yeah.
And 4, how much the use affects the market and or value of the work. So these are 4 things that are actually the court takes into it. As you said, they did actually say that this was fair use. Although used on a commercial website, the use was non-commercial because it was informational rather than expressive.
I was going to say, what was the original purpose? It was things to do in Washington, wasn't it?
That's what they
used it for. So they weren't actually being like, oh, buy our tickets to such and such, using this image as the one that makes you go, oh wow, I need to go to that place.
So it was used as informational things to do in DC. One of the main points they're using is that because he'd actually published this on other sites before, they were unaware that it was copyrighted. There was one site in particular that didn't specify anything about copyright, but one commenter actually did raise a valid point. I thought that in the court of law that ignorance was not used as a form of defence.
Yeah, there is, and that was I think what I was getting at with good faith. So good faith means that essentially this guy used Brammer's image unaware that it had been copyrighted and that he maintained all of those rights. His claim, he attested that I think he used it not aware that there was a copyright on it.
Yep.
And then he took it down afterwards.
Yep.
And good faith essentially means that because he was unaware, you know, that's how you define good faith. He didn't know, and then he did the right thing afterwards, took the thing down.
Yeah.
But you can't use good faith, like you were saying, as you know, to come to the defense of what was it you said? This is. Man, we got law is intense.
Butchering this. I'm getting lost myself.
So,
well, yeah. Well, the commenter that basically said about ignorance is not a form of.
That's it. Ignorance
is not a form of defence for this sort of thing.
Yeah.
But it's quite. Yeah, I mean, they were saying as well that there was one bit the photo was factual. That being a depiction of a real-world location as opposed to creative. But I mean. That to me
could be anything though, couldn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
I could go outside of our warehouse, do a funky image of you in a Viking outfit.
Yeah.
But it's still the same.
That won't be happening.
Yeah. No. But, you know, surely wherever you go, unless you're on a set, everywhere's factual.
I think there was somewhere that he did actually write in there as well. I mean, to be fair, it was a long exposure shot, so he did do a certain amount. There is a certain creativity to that as well. That's there's a long shutter choice in there. You're using a choice of aperture, etc. So he has actually created a specific thing.
I think
you know.
I think it's a dangerous ruling, isn't it? Really, because you don't want to walk into that territory where you start to say it's okay for people to go out and pull any image off the web. And use that fairly without compensating regardless of whether or not it was factual or what was it, informative, creative.
Informative as opposed to creative.
Part one of what you were saying, I completely understand. Where there was no monetary value for the company, fair enough. But if he has technically done a long exposure, you can't exactly long exposure eyes, can you? So, there is a creative element to it. So therefore, is it really factual? It's not. It's creative, like you said.
This one got me. The image was cropped, and thus the company were being kind so as to not use any more of a photo than was absolutely necessary.
Problem is, they're still using a photo.
Actually, I'm not going to go into this one because I don't want to get to see myself.
Using more of a photo than was necessary, because at that point, when you start saying that, you start to say that only certain parts of somebody's work has value.
Yes.
Only so much, a certain percentage of this guy's photo is the part that has value.
Is the only bit that has money. Everywhere else around it is rubbish.
It's weird, isn't it? I'm like, man, debating this stuff in terms of law. Oh my gosh, I'm not a lawyer at all.
Well, the last bit, there was no evidence to suggest that Brammer was out of pocket from the usage, and so the usage was fair.
There was no ticket sales, was there? So
yeah,
but
that's not really going to happen, is it?
Yeah, it's quite
feel for the guy, but I kind of understand the ruling, but you're right, the knock-on effect of this, especially in the US.
I'll tell you what.
To be rude, but especially in the US, this could have a major knock-on effect.
But I think this has been happening more and more frequently, though, and I think it's just because of the ubiquity of just like online content and photos and stuff. So many people take photos now, and so many people use digital multimedia to either sell or to put on a website, on a blog. I mean, it's crazy, and it's happened to. There's an artist called, I think it was Revoke or whatever, and one of his pieces was on a wall, and H&M did a photo shoot of their models in front of this graffiti piece that he did, and there was a whole legal battle over it about whether or not they needed to compensate Revoke because they used his imagery and his piece as a backdrop for their setting.
Right.
I don't know how you do that. You know what I mean? That's really difficult to call. So is it happy? I mean, that's not just a photo. That's now this guy's. That's this guy's art as well.
Yeah. Isn't it? Well, a guy called Stephen Carlisle. He's the copyright officer of Nova Sophie. Nova Southeastern University has written a lengthy rebuttal. First of all, actually, Matt mentioned earlier on that there was a 7-page court hearing ruling, which we'll leave a link for description, just in case you want to look at that. There's also the rebuttal here, but he writes how this has potential to seriously erode the copyright protections afforded photographers. The court ignores key components of the Copyright Act, disregards readily apparent facts, and once again totally botches the transformative use test.
I think that's a pretty concise
really good way of
summary of that, and then how I think I feel about it. You can't. I mean, you can't just go around taking little bits of people's work and being like, well, I only took a little bit.
You can.
You know?
It's kind of one of them things, where does it end? How you can take this little bit, but you can't take it's like,
you can't.
Exactly.
You can't, regulate that. That's. I mean, this is going to be an ongoing battle for
ages. I think it's going to be forever, to be honest. As long as it's imagery.
Who owns what, you know?
But so he has actually lost that case, which is quite a. I'm sure there's. Well, let us know what you think about that one. So I'm sure there's a lot of photographers watching this who are going to be very interested in what's going on there. So
we could get really esoteric and start talking about whether or not anybody has an original idea at all.
Oh dear.
Maybe another day.
Better not get too
in this heat.
Oh my god, it's so hot. Oh, we're gonna smell.
So warm. Let's move on, shall we? So what's next?
Sony 400 2.8.
Even though I know Ben's going to go through it, but I had the pleasure of listing this lens. And I thought, oh my god, Sony have released a 400mm EMOUNT. Amazing.
Right.
But I'll let you read the specs out, but the specs are incredible, especially the weight.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think I saw what you said about the weight. Tell us what the weight is.
6 pounds. Yeah. The world's lightest 400mm.
Mental.
I'm trying to figure out.
I actually wrote on our web listing that it's not gonna
I'm thinking maybe that's like 2 grommets, maybe
2 grommets. I don't know. All I know is that I
is that the official?
How many grommets does that lens weigh?
Ben, grommets.
Well, in other words, it's basically like holding, what did I put? 6 pint of milk.
Yeah, basically.
It's basically a 6 pint of milk, which for 400mm is really light.
Yeah, I suppose it's the lightest one there is. It's great for sports and wildlife photography. As you said, 2.8, so it's a very fast lens, and it'll marry great with the A9. Is it 20 frames per second you get on the A9?
Yeah.
So with this on the front of it as well. I mean, that's some great stuff for
that is pretty
wildlife and sports photography.
It's very affordable as well. only £10,500. So get in there.
Yeah. Apparently as well, it's not very front heavy either. So apparently it's easier to manoeuvre around on a monopod.
I read up why as well, because they've only put 3 fluorescent
fluorite.
You
got it.
elements in the front of the lens, whereas normal 400mm or 500mm have up to like 5 or 6.
So they've actually been
able
to
to remove
remove some stuff as well.
And this is one for the video. I didn't put this on the web listing, but if you look on the Sony website for that lens, it literally says they have tested that lens with current and future release models. For E-mounts. Now, seeing as that's a sport, and like you said, it'll marry really well with the A9.
Yeah.
I can't help but wonder what's going to come out of Photokina. I reckon something's going to be shouted.
Maybe there'll be something new.
That is genuinely on their website.
Maybe it's like an A6700 or something.
Maybe.
Which would be a ridiculous camera to put on the end of it.
Still. Well, it depends on what spec it's got, doesn't it?
I guess
this £10,000.
Let me buy a, £800 camera.
There you go.
On it.
Though those are good cameras.
They are very good cameras.
£10,000 lens on the end of the camera, you're going to get an excellent image. Ben's got like a whole bunch of information written down about this Pentax 50mm here.
That's me.
What do you got, Andy?
So on the, I think maybe a couple of days after, Pentax have released a 50mm full frame 1.4 lens. Should people invest in it?
I don't know.
Really? Tell us. Well, I can remember when I was listing the lens, and I actually asked you, why does Pentax have this weird kind of negative vibe to it? Like, it's another Pentax lens. I'm not really excited about.
I could see this is going to be an anti-Pentax.
No, but it's
dig
not
out of this hole.
Get us out of here, Andy.
No, the reason why I'm building it like that is because actually this lens looks really good.
Okay.
It's pretty solid looking.
For a 1.4, it's got their new generation of high-performance Star Series lenses, which is basically a whole new kind of HD and UV coating on their elements, which is quite interesting. It's new, got a state-of-the-art optical technology. No idea what they're talking about there. They literally just state that and don't really develop on it. Like most Pentax things, they claim it's dust-proof, weather-resistant construction with a new magnesium alloy, which is very light and very strong, which Pentax have always been renowned for.
Same thing that Sony's made out of, isn't it? Magnesium alloy.
But they've also developed their what they call supersonic direct drive motor.
Damn. This lens sounds like less of a lens and more of a spaceship with like all the star technology.
Which is basically, for those at home, that's their AF motor system. Putting it to the simpleton like me. But apparently it generates as much as 7.5 times the amount of torque of a conventional normal AF motor from other brands, so it must be very quick.
That's an interesting thing to talk about, actually. The amount of torque.
Of the motor. I've never heard.
That's a car. That's something you talk about with cars.
But yeah, I suppose it's.
So it's got a 9-blade round-shaped diaphragm, so fantastic for imagery and no vignetting.
Okay.
And it has a minimum focal distance of 40 centimeters, which I thought was quite shallow, really, isn't it?
Yeah,
You're talking there.
Yeah.
That's really good for 50
mil.
So, if you own a K1 or a K1 II, this is definitely a lens that you need to look at for your kit. If you own the K70 or the KP, it will still work. You just got to be aware of the crop factor. But yeah, I think actually this could be a new start for Pentax, if I'm honest with you.
Fair play. I am intrigued, even if that is a bunch of marketing
Lingo,
mumbo jumbo. I want to know about this Starship Enterprise lens.
The one thing I didn't put down on my list that Ben has is the price.
Yes, £1,199.
Oh, that's not cheap, is it?
You can get 10 of those for the price of 400.
Yeah, well, there you go.
That's pretty good, though.
And if you add them together, that makes it right?
Yeah.
Wow, cool.
So.
Oh, it sounded that actually.
It's a very interesting lens.
I think if anything, the idea that they've actually given us stats on the torque that the AF motor is impressed is the most. Yeah, I'm like, all right,
okay.
This is a man's lens.
I'm in.
How much torque does your lens got?
How many horses? But yeah, it's definitely worth a look at. Even if you're not a Pentax user, it's definitely one to keep an eye on.
Yeah, cool.
But yeah, is it promotions next myself?
I think it isn't. Well, did you want to do a quick 3 peaks update?
I'll do that at the end. I think that's quite nice.
Okay.
Nice way to end it. So my 3 promotions for you this week are 2 Fujis and 1 Sony. So sorry everyone else. Fuji summer lens promotion started earlier this week actually, where you can get half price f2 lenses, which is the 23mm, 35mm and the 50mm when you purchase an XE3 or an X Pro 2. Both fantastic cameras through fantastic lenses. Fujifilm also have their summer instant discounts, so if you're looking to go towards the XH1 you can save £220. The XT2 body is £270, and then the XT2 kit is £180. Personally, I don't understand that bit.
Right.
Why the kit you get less and the body you get more, I don't know. But anyway, all 3 of those kits though are awesome, especially kind of the premium flagship range.
They do check in a lens with the kit though, don't they?
They do check in a lens with the kit, that's a fair point. And then for Sony people, if you're interested in the A9 and the brand new 400mm, there's no promo of them together, but with the A9 at least you will get the free vertical grip and 3-year warranty extension. So on top of what we provide already, you can get up to 4 years warranty.
Good.
Nice.
That grip's no insignificant investment either, so that's a few
£100
pounds
that's a hell of an add-on.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
So that's my 3 sales pitches for today. But I would like to end on a nice, happy, positive note about the 3 Peaks Challenge that we've been talking about for the past 3-4 months.
Yeah.
We've done it. If you haven't noticed, we've done it.
First one.
We'll edit that together.
Yeah.
So we've done it. I sadly didn't make it up all 3 because I pulled a card and that's all. Typical, but never mind. But we managed to raise an amazing £5,717, and don't forget the 37 pence. But you have until tomorrow, because it's going to go up Friday, isn't it?
Yep.
You have until tomorrow.
I like the confidence followed by the
to get your final little donations in. So I would really love it if we could hit that 6K mark.
That would be great.
Not necessarily the 10K mark that we first set out, but if we could hit the 6K, that'd be amazing.
Good work.
I mean, we were shooting for the moon with 10K.
We were shooting for the moon, but we've done.
So
they've been well.
That's pretty good. You got halfway to the moon.
We got halfway to the moon. And speaking of the moon, I'm going to diverge a little bit.
Where is this?
I would also like to just announce, because the Grand Appeal have been fantastic to us, in all fairness.
Yeah.
They've been fantastic. So I would just like to mention off our backs that their new Grommet Unleashed 2 trail around Bristol has finally started. Essentially what that is, if you guys haven't heard of it before, is artists from all over the world get given either a grommet, a Wallace, or a Feathers McGraw this year, which I'm actually pretty pumped about.
Yeah, just like that.
That's
just like Kisses. Yeah, just like Kisses. And they're dotted all around Bristol. Fantastic trail, really good day on Bristol. We all love Bristol, it's a fantastic city. With over 75 to find.
Ah, cool.
So yes, if that's, if you want something to do on a Saturday or a Sunday, especially in this weather, it could be really, really nice in all fairness. Make sure you visit Bristol, even if you're nowhere near it. Just catch a train. It's honestly worth it. It's a wonderful, wonderful city.
Yeah, I think they sell those oversized lawn ornaments at the end of the thing as well, don't they?
Yeah, there's usually a huge, I think they hold it at the Temple Meads.
Right.
So if you're in the market for a gigantic grommet,
in the market for a 5-foot Feathers McGraw. The good thing. But so please make sure you donate whatever you can, if you can, to this fantastic cause. That'd be fantastic.
Cool.
Absolutely.
That's it.
Alright.
Thanks for joining us for yet another Clifton Cameras Week in Review.
See you later.
Bye.
That was a tough one,
That little bit was like, whoa.